1987 high school football season was supposed to be the season. Coach Jerry Moore had come over from Somerville 2 seasons earlier to hopefully work the magic that brought that program 6 sectional titles in 11 years. Everything seemed to be there. The players were good. The coaching staff was dedicated. This was going to be the year. But even before the Minutemen took the field, they were losers. The coaching staff traded in their clipboard for picket signs, and a championship season that might have been became a season of what-ifs. Forced to forfeit their first 2 games of the year, the Minutemen had an official record of 6 wins and 3 losses, the only loss on the field coming against the Union Farmers. So the 1988 Minutemen began practice in the hot August sun with just one goal in mind: forget 1987. And so the work to bring home the state championship began. Tonight, we take you along that road, the road to the playoffs. Good evening and welcome to this special edition, a salute to the 1988 Elizabeth High School football team. I'm Wayne Avery. We're going to take a look back with you at the Elizabeth High School football team in their most successful season since 1981. And we'll start off first with the highlights of this season. The first team to visit the Minutemen at Williams Field in 1988, the CRANFORD Cougars. And what did I say earlier about forgetting about 1987?
The kids didn't get to play CRANFORD last year, and CRANFORD's one of the teams that took a victory from us. You know, they wanted to forfeit. Right. They didn't want to give us a chance to make it up. So our kids want CRANFORD. They want CRANFORD real bad, and it, you know, it's the first game, and that's what we plan to do. We're setting all of our sights for them. We've got to try to get the team to say, hey, we're going to take one at a time. We take one at a time. When we get down the road, we'll take care of those people. But up front, you always got to fight the upset thing, and you always got to fight of keeping the kids from looking down towards Union and some of the other teams. But I don't think we're having any problem because we've got some real good leaders, and we've got a great senior class, and we've got some kids that have some goals set for themselves, and they're going to, you know, do everything they can to accomplish those goals. So I don't think we'll be looking ahead of anybody, you know, especially not CRANFORD.
The Cougars came to Elizabeth with high hopes, coming off a 5-4 season. The Minutemen and RASHID Thomas got on the board first. Vaughn and Thomas. This time the pitch out will come to Thomas, coming right side. He's got blockers in front of him, and he's going to go down the sideline. He's at the 40, cuts inside. Nobody in front of him. He's going to go in for the touchdown. CRANFORD quarterback Dave Nordstrom, who kept the Elizabeth defense guessing all night, got the Cougars into the end zone with his first of 3 touchdown passes. Nordstrom now backs in to the shotgun. Spirito wide to the right. The throw goes in, and it's a touchdown to Jeff Scotty. Touchdown, CRANFORD. Going into the locker room at halftime, the Minutemen had the Cougars tied up at 7-7. The third quarter, all Minutemen. Quarterback Carlos Nazario kept the ball on this play, rambling 41 yards for an Elizabeth score. And then later on, a play the Elizabeth fans will become accustomed to as the season went on. RASHID Thomas, bad snap, but they'll get it away. And it gets by RASHID Thomas. He'll have to chase it back at the 10. Now he's being chased, turns the corner, and now heads up the sideline. Now cuts back in. He's at the 40, still at the 45 on his feet. Now he's got blockers in front of him, and he's going to move now into the end zone at the 10, and he's down for the touchdown. Entering the fourth quarter, Elizabeth led the Cougars by a score of 20-7. But as I mentioned earlier, this CRANFORD team is for real, and Nordstrom went to work. Maybe look for Nordstrom to put the ball up. Fakes and rolls to his left, being chased. Now throws. He's got Spirito in the end zone. Touchdown. Nordstrom takes a low snap, throws it over to the right side into the end zone. It is a touchdown. The Cougars had gone ahead 21-20, and to make matters worse, starting quarterback Carlos Nazario was forced out of the game with a concussion late in the fourth quarter after a CRANFORD sack. So junior Terry Hanratty replaced Nazario just over 5 minutes left in the game, and things didn't seem to get any better. Carlos Nazario was injured and helped off the field, so Terry Hanratty, the 5'11", 165-pound junior, will take over the offense for the Elizabeth Minutemen.
And we'll have to see what happens here, Wayne. This is it. Big series.
Hanratty on the pitch out to RASHID Thomas. Thomas has a cut back inside. He's hit, fumbled the football. CRANFORD's got it. The CRANFORD Cougars have it, and how many times tonight, Red, has he lost control of the football? Soon after Chris Sherrill came into the ball game, he kicks a field goal, and now the Minutemen are down 24-20 with just over 2 minutes left in the contest. Elizabeth was able to move the ball to the CRANFORD 46 before a clipping penalty moved them back to the 39-yard line, that their own 39-yard line, and then it was this play that stunned the crowd.
Play was strung out by number 74, Robert Trout.
A minute to go here in the football game now, and the clock rolling. Hanratty will throw, and he's got it complete! Complete! That's Malik Jackson. He's going in for the touchdown.
Unbelievable! A little pass over the middle that I had said earlier in the third period that it would work, and it worked for a TD. Kenny Hanratty. Wayne, I've seen it all.
The Minutemen had dodged the bullet, and the game was theirs. Game 2 and the Plainfield Cardinals at Williams Field. Carlos Nazario still not ready to play, and so it's Terry Hanratty who will lead the Minutemen to victory, and he is in the game as a starting quarterback. Once again, it's the special teams that get the Minutemen on the board first. So RASHID Thomas standing at his own 45-yard line. And Hatcher with a good punt, and Thomas will take it right at the 40-yard line to the 50 as he moves right. Gets to the 40-yard line, 30, he's at the 20, and he's going to go for the touchdown. RASHID Thomas with the 55-yard return on the punt. After that first quarter score, this fine defensive effort, this will be a 3rd and 7 play, and Egerton goes back to throw, rolling to his right. Had a man open, and now it's intercepted by Orr. He's going to go in for the touchdown. And if you were worried about the Elizabeth offense, you can check this play out. This time the fake and the rollout looks like the same play. They're going down to the sideline, and they got it complete to Derek Brown, who goes in for the touchdown. Dominic Brown made the catch at about the 12-yard line and goes in for the touchdown. The Minutemen led at the half by a score of 20-0. They increased that lead in the third quarter. Hanratty gives to Vaughn. Vaughn bullying his way to the right side, goes in, touchdown. The Cardinals did manage to avert a shutout with this outstanding run. Catano, the kicker for Elizabeth. Thomas Orr had been kicking off. It's going to be a short kick taken by Butler. And Butler moving to the right side. Breaks away. He's at the 50-yard line. 3 men are chasing him. He's down to the 20. He's going to go in for the touchdown. And the Minutemen now 2-0. The Irvington Blue Knights are next on the list as the Minutemen will hit the road. It was rainy and cold in Irvington. The Blue Knights sky high, having beating the Union Farmers earlier in the season. Union coming into the game with a record of 2 wins and 1 loss. That loss a heartbreaker to the Linden Tigers 7-6. They also had a win over CRANFORD. The first half, a scoreless tie with the Irvington defense rising to the occasion as they stopped the Minutemen on their first drive. Terry Hanratty, the quarterback, on the pitch out. RASHID Thomas tries to go to the left side. Knocked out of bounds short of the first down. 4th down for the Minutemen. And again, it's Hanratty who will throw the football. That's intended for Vaughn, and it's incomplete, and the Blue Knight defense holds. The Irvington defense set up the only score of this contest. And then 2 plays later, this scoring play. For the game, the Minutemen rushed for only 88 yards, and they left Irvington an 8-0 loser. Heading into week number 4, the Minutemen were ranked 2nd in the county, and the 5th-ranked Summit Hilltoppers were waiting to welcome them home and hoping to protect their 3-0 record. But the inconsistencies of the last 3 weekends would disappear for the Minutemen. In the first quarter, it's Kenny Vaughn. First and goal. Handoff goes to Kenny Vaughn, bowls his way close, and he's going to be in for the touchdown. Then after a 37-yard field goal gets Summit on the board, RASHID Thomas breaks loose.
Line of scrimmage.
The fake now, the pitch out. Pitch out, RASHID Thomas. Thomas cutting inside. He's going to go in for the touchdown. 31-yard touchdown run for RASHID Thomas. And if you thought that 61-yard pass and run play in the opening day was a fluke, you can watch this play. Hanratty to Jackson. Second down, and Hanratty to throw. Now he throws to the other side. He's got Malik Jackson at the 50-yard line. Jackson to the 40. Jackson's got one man to beat. He's down to the 10-yard line, and he is going to go in for the touchdown. And then Thomas capped off the evening. This will be a 2nd and 6. And a handoff, RASHID Thomas again. Thomas to the 10-yard line will go in again for the touchdown. Minutemen offense wasn't the only thing that was on fire at Williams Field this night. An overheated electrical wire caused a fire, and the lights on the visiting side had to be shut down, and so it seemed the lights had gone out on the Elizabeth home season. Earlier the next week, it was announced the biggest game of the year, the Elizabeth Minutemen and the Union Farmers, would be moved to the home of the Farmers.
Coach, first of all, you must be a little relieved here after the last week or so, wondering whether you're going to play here at Williams Field or over at Union. Finally, we have a decision, and you will be playing home against the Union Farmers this week.
Well, we were really getting prepared to play either place. You know, it's just one of those situations where we wanted to play here if at all possible, and thank goodness our administration took into consideration a lot of things, and they came back and decided to play it here, and you know, we really appreciate that. I think the kids are really relieved. They're happy. I think a lot of people are, and it's just a very unfortunate situation that happened. But the thing that really made everything go was that Mr. Potempa and the Board of Education did some searching and decided to come back and try to play the game here. And it's really, you know, it's something that you really want in this type of situation. And now what we have to do is go out and win the football game.
So it was a brightly lit Williams Field which awaited the contest which many people thought would vault the winners into the championship playoffs and doom the loser as a spectator. But before the Minutemen could concentrate on the Farmers, there was one problem, the Kearney Cardinals. Again, a wet field caused the Elizabeth team problems, this fumble setting up the first score. At halftime, the Minutemen trailed 7-0, and thoughts of Irvington had to be running through the minds of the Elizabeth faithful. Things didn't start out any better in the second half. A poor punt set up this play. The Minutemen found themselves 14-0 down in the score, and their playoff hopes seemed to be slipping away. But then, here's RASHID Thomas. And with the Minutemen trailing by 6, Thomas does it again. Still, it's not over, as Elizabeth still needs that extra point. So the Minutemen escape Kearney, and they head home to face the Union Farmers. And our salute to the Elizabeth Minutemen will continue in a moment. Finally, week 5 has arrived. the week where the Minutemen hope all the frustrations of the last 6 years will finally be laid to rest. The Union Farmers have arrived at Williams Field. Both own a quarter share in the Watchung Conference lead. Both sport 4-1 records, and both believe their defense is better than the others. So forget all the pregame hype and let the contest begin. In the first half, both defenses lived up to their build-up. The Minutemen got all the way down to the Union 14-yard line before a big fumble. The recovery seemed to spark the Farmers, and Young broke loose on this big play. Baskerville again in motion, give on the trap play, and he breaks away. That's Young, Jimmy Young, to the midfield, has one man to beat, and he's going to be dragged down, and that's Orr who drags him down to the 30-yard line. But the Farmers would get only 8 more yards on that drive, and they stalled at the Elizabeth 22. Union did manage to get the ball back to the Elizabeth 18-yard line later on in that half, which set up this only score. Zimbardo will be kicking. Baskerville will hold at the 22-yard line. The kick is up, and it is good. So neither team found the end zone in the third period, but the Minutemen were on the move at the close of that period. They had started on their own 45-yard line, were down to the Union 15, faced with a 3rd and 10. Nazario, the fake, throws, got it complete, and it's Samaj Blow, stepped out of bounds. Let's see where he went out of bounds at.
Down around the 4-yard line, where it's going to be 1st and goal for the Minutemen.
With the ball at the 5-yard line, it's Kenny Vaughn. 1st and goal for the Minutemen. To give to Vaughn. Vaughn bowls his way, touchdown!
And Wayne, what a run! Nobody knew who had the football. He carried 2 Union Farmers down to the 2-yard line and busted in.
With 9 minutes and 36 seconds left in the contest, Elizabeth was on top 7-3. But it wasn't over yet, as the Minutemen took a Farmer punt at Union's 46. On 2nd down, Vaughn races 12 yards to the Union 32. 2 plays later, Thomas Orr takes the pitch and stiff arms his way all the way down to the Union 4. 1st and goal at the 4-yard line. Rashid Thomas, touchdown! With just over a minute left, Elizabeth had sealed the victory. They had beaten the Farmers for the first time since 1981. It would be the last home game of the year for Elizabeth. If they are to win the conference title and qualify for the state tournament, they would have to do it on enemy ground. The true test was still to come, and probably in the back of everyone's mind, another clash with the Union Farmers. The Minutemen now are just 2 games away from clinching a spot in the state playoffs, standing in the way of the Westfield Blue Devils and the Rahway Indians. It was raining in Westfield. That was no surprise. What was a big surprise was how the Elizabeth defense manhandled Leroy Gallman. Gallman entered the game the top scorer in Union County and the top ground gainer as well. When the Elizabeth defense rested, he led in neither. Time and time again, he was driven back. On 15 carries, he managed 8 total yards, which was just over half the entire team's total. It would be the start of an amazing streak that the Elizabeth defense would put together. Elizabeth scored twice on the wet recreation field. The first, Rashid Thomas. So Rashid Thomas will wait for this punt. And now this time it's a line drive kick. It'll be taken on the hop by Rashid Thomas, going up the right sideline. Got blockers in front of him. He's going to go in for the touchdown. Rashid Thomas all the way for the touchdown. Kenny Vaughn set up the second TD with an interception on the Westfield 35. After returning it to the 17, Vaughn got the call. Offensively this afternoon, handoff Vaughn. Vaughn breaking tackles. Vaughn is hit and now goes close to the end zone. Let's see. Touchdown. Touchdown, Kenny Vaughn. The Minutemen left Westfield with their eye on the Rahway Indians. The Rahway Indians were a rebuilding ball club, but they also had one of the top passers in the county, Carlos Garay, who had 42 completions for 7 touchdowns. But right at the start, you just knew that the Minutemen, with the playoffs and conference title clearly in sight, were ready. they were more than ready to play. The opening kickoff, a fumble here by Rawway. It's recovered by Terrence Wallace at the 17. Then 3 plays later, Thomas Orr goes in from the 10-yard line, and the Minutemen never looked back. Then it was Carlos Nazario who would throw for over 100 yards in the half. He goes to Juan Jones, a 52-yard touchdown pass and run play. Then Orr capped off a 4-play drive with a run from the 8-yard line. And in the second half, Elizabeth scored one more time as it's Kenny Vaughn from the 5-yard line. The Minutemen go on to defeat the Rahway Indians. Final score 26-0. That's their second straight shutout. But more important, next week they were going to the playoffs. And so it's at Woodman Field, home of the Montclair Mounties, and the site of the Group 4 Section 2 semifinal. Both teams entering the contest with 2 shutouts, but the Elizabeth defense was hot, having not been scored upon in 2.5 games. The Mountie defense struck first, blocking this Robert Zanega punt, which Montclair recovered, but they couldn't capitalize on that turnover. But in the second quarter, the Mounties moved down to the Elizabeth 15-yard line with just under 2 minutes to play in the half. But on first down, Kenny Vaughn forced quarterback Kevin Snipes out of bounds for a loss of 4 yards. Then Snipes decided to throw, and it was the wrong choice.
Snipes fakes, now throws toward the end zone, intercepted by Orr. He's got a lot of room on that sideline. Orr's across in the Mountie territory. There he goes. He's going to go in. Touchdown, Elizabeth.
Now, this score would be the only one of the first half, and the Minutemen led it going into the locker room. After the half, it was the defense again that did it for Elizabeth. The Mounties were stopped cold on their own 10-yard line and forced to punt. Elizabeth took over on the Mountie 34-yard line. 4 plays later, on 4th down and inches, Samaj Blow appeared to be stopped, but somehow he bursts through for a 25-yard touchdown run.
On 4th down and inches, at the Montclair 25-yard line. Nazario gives, and it's going to be a touchdown, Elizabeth. That's Samaj Blow.
All afternoon, the Elizabeth defense made the big plays. Safety James Caraway had an exceptional afternoon. He came up with 2 interceptions, and late in the third quarter, when it looked like the Mountie offense might be showing some signs of life, Jesse Vickers and Jeff Thomas stopped Nikki Kemp for a 2-yard loss on 4th down and 2. The 12-0 shutout was the 3rd straight and sets up a championship date with Morris Knowles in Denville. But before that game in Denville, there was still the question of who would win the Watchung Conference Championship. The Minutemen and the Linden Tigers took the field on Thanksgiving morning. The Tigers were in Union, where they played the Farmers. Elizabeth traveled to Scotch Plains to play the winless Raiders. And as you might imagine, the season finale was no contest. Elizabeth had 5 different ball players go into the end zone as they win it by a score of 33-6.
Nazario this time will drop straight back to throw, and he's got it complete and in for the touchdown. Carlos Torres. To give goes to Orr. He fights his way into the end zone for a touchdown. Of Scotch Plains. Again, the handoff, RASHID, Thomas, and Thomas this time is going to break away. He's going to go in from the 10. Now he's in, touchdown. And now in the backfield, handoff will go to Kenny Vaughn, bowls his way in, touchdown. Floyd goes in for the touchdown.
Elizabeth didn't know it as they left Tyson Field that morning in Scotch Plains, but they had one more thing to be thankful for. Union had beaten the Linden Tigers, and the Minutemen were champions of the best football conference in the state. Our salute to the 1988 Minuteman football team will continue. Jerry Moore will be here, and we'll be looking at the highlights of the Elizabeth Morris Knowles championship football game. And welcome back to our special look back at the Elizabeth High School football season and the Minutemen, the Group 4 Section 2 champions. Joining me now in the studio, Coach Jerry Moore. And Coach, you've been here before, 12 sectional titles now. How do you rate this one with the rest of them?
Well, I think, this was sort of special, and I think we had a special type of team. The kids worked hard, probably as hard as any team I've ever coached in the off season and pre-practice and during practice, and they're just a great bunch of young men, and the girls that we had in our training room, and the trainers and the trainee, Joe Pristula and Joni are our two trainers. Everybody in our program, the assistant coaches, did as good a job as I've had done for me in a long time. And when you get things like that surrounding you, you're going to have success. And I think we just had a great year. There's very few low points and a lot of high points in the season, and I'm just happy for the kids and the people in our school system and in our town.
And you talk about this team, and I know every time I came down to Williams Field, every week it seemed like we were talking about this player's injured, that player's injured, and you always seem to just have somebody that just came in and filled in for somebody.
Well, we did have our share of injuries. Maybe we had more than our share of injuries, but we felt going into the season we were going to have some good depth, and we were very fortunate that people that got injured, that their replacements came in and did a good job and did the job that we had to have done in order to keep things going. And I can't say enough about them. There's naturally, when you lose 2 or 3 or 4 regulars going into a game, most coaches would be very, very concerned, and we were concerned. But obviously, I felt that some of the people we had going in were going to do a good job for us, and they were able to do it. Now, how good we would have been if everybody would have stayed healthy, but in this type of game and the way we play it, with the physical impact that some of our people have, you're going to have some injuries, and you're going to have people go down or miss a game or so here. But we were fortunate in that way that we got a lot of people that came in and did a good job for us when the others were down, and I'm happy for those people also. And it just shows the type of depth that we had and the type of people. I think even though we had subs in, that some of these guys, the other starters, would pump them up and help them on offense or defense, and maybe even give a little extra on their own, and then try to make up for the lack. But whatever happened, they did it well, and we're very happy for that.
The defense, we read about the defense all year long. Is Jesse Vickers the best defensive player you've had? He's done a wonderful job for you all year long.
Jesse Vickers is a good football player. I don't know if he's the best defensive player that I've ever had. He's got a couple of defensive players playing with him that are great. Jamil Jackson, Kenny Vaughn, Derek Williams, Jeffrey Thomas. I'd probably say Jeffrey Thomas is one of the most consistent players in the business, but he's just, his size and that's going to hurt him college-wise, but just as a high school football player and given everything every game, probably Jeffrey Thomas is one of the best players in the state. Jesse Vickers has had a great year. And he's got the size, he's got the weight, he's got the speed to play major college ball and maybe professionally down the road. But Jesse had a great year. But I'd say, when I mention our defense, I'm talking 11, 12, 13, 14 players, and I don't know which one I could say is the best. I just, sometimes I have a hard time trying to distinguish between the best one and the next 1, 2, 3, 4. If I was going to rate them, because I think our front 5 are as good as anybody. Our 2 defensive ends, 2 tackles, and nose guard are as good as any there is in the state. And I don't know if anybody in this county and the teams that we've played, if anyone on their team could come over and make that front 5. Our 2 middle linebackers, I don't know whether there's 2 better linebackers. I think Jamil Jackson is probably one of the best linebackers in the state. I think down the road he's going to be a great major college linebacker. Our secondary, we lost 3 kids last year out of the secondary to major college schools. They all went on scholarship, full rides. We took RASHID Thomas off, and he was the other starter. We took him off of defense, so we were with 4 new people. And those kids just played super all year.
And you talk about Jeffrey Thomas, and we were talking last week on the show about the all-watch on conference team, and Jeffrey Thomas didn't make that team, and he still had an outstanding. I was kind of surprised because it seemed like every time I did the ball games and every tackle, you always saw number 68 there.
Well, 68 is around a lot, and like I told him, this week, or told him today, don't get upset if you don't make a lot of all-star teams, because it just comes down to a popularity contest after a while. They're not going to let seven or 8 or 9 players from Elizabeth be on an all-star team. That's just the sports writers and those people are just not going to let. Now if they're going to pick the best, they should pick the best. I don't care if they're all 10 from Union or all 10 from Elizabeth. If they're the best and you're going to have that, then do it. But it doesn't always turn out that way. They're going to spread the wealth a little bit, which is fair also. So I just tell our kids, hey, if you make it, you make it. If you don't make it, don't get upset, because we know what you meant to us. And the opponents know what you meant to us because they had to play against you. The coaches know, and everyone that's been to the games know how important you are to Elizabeth High School football. And this all-star thing is, just you can't get caught up on it.
Robert Zuniga's come in and punted well for you as the season went underway.
Well, Robert Zuniga is a real good football player. In fact, I think after Saturday's game, Robert Zuniga probably became a high priority in a scholarship kid because he just had a super game for us. And he's taken over the punting. Malik Jackson got injured in the Kearney game, wasn't able to play against Union, so we put Bobby in, and no one that was at the game, Union game, knew it, but Bob Zuniga had never kicked in a scrimmage football game. He'd never kicked in a JV or sophomore football game because he didn't play. This is his first year of playing. He'd never kicked in an active game type situation. And we put him out there, and you think I wasn't scared. Playing Union, knowing how important the kicking game and field position is, we put him out there, and he probably won the game for us because he kept Union deep in their territory time and time again, as the same as he's done in all for the last 5 or 6 games. So Robert has been a great player, and probably, I think personally that he's been one of the big impact players. If we didn't have him, I don't know whether we would be doing what we're doing right now if we'd have won the state championship, because we needed a tight end. We needed somebody that could come in and play that position and block for us. And his spatial teams and everything has been great. So he's been a real impact player for us.
We didn't hear a whole lot, or most of what we heard about the offense was just how inconsistent it was all year. But you had RASHID Thomas, who, an outstanding runner, made the big plays all the time, and Carlos Nazario also at quarterback did a good job all year long. And a lot of people kind of, I think, overlook what some of these people did on offense.
I think probably at the last 3 games we started getting down to where we're a pretty good offensive team. I thought we moved the ball well on them. In fact, they couldn't handle us. I mean, we were moving the ball at will early in the game and really got the things flowing. Just a break here, break there. We have an easy touchdown in the first period. We actually scored, but they take it away from Dominic. We're down in there again. We complete a pass, and the kid gets hit, and he fumbles, and then he falls on it, and the referee calls it pass, no, incomplete on like the 8-yard line. So we had some opportunities there. But offensively, we've got some good people. We've always had good people, but the thing that was hurting us was all of our injuries were basically with the offensive line. And we couldn't get anything consistently going with the blocking schemes and everything and the communications you have to have. And with the quarterback situation, one got hurt and then the other one played, then he got hurt and then the other one came back, and then we got another one in there. So we just, it took us a while to get into it, and offense is just that way. It's timing, it's execution, it's making improper decisions and things. It's more involved of making split type decisions than defense. Defense, we can get over there and line up and just maul people. And we can get in a certain set and give everybody their 1 or 2 responsibilities, and they read and react to it, and things happen. Offensively, there's too many things. There's changes, there's audibles, there's a lot of things that has to take place where there's kids are having to use their head and think a lot, and then you got to work together. So you got to know whether you're going to double team or whether you're single block and things like that. So it's worked out good, and I feel that Billy Papetas and Arnez McCrary and Jason Testa and all those people have done a great job. Derek Williams, Jaleel Grady, Ira Powell, Bobby Zuniga, Dominic Brown, Carlos Torres. Those people on offense, they've done a good job for us, done a real solid job for us, and they've got the points for us that we needed to get to win the games, and that's all you can ask.
Okay, you're now the Section 2 champions, and the NJSIAA, I think, is having a big meeting today. Do you think that the season should be extended so maybe you can play a couple more games and have a definite Group 4 championship team?
Well, I think they definitely should do it. I think they definitely should get away from the Thanksgiving Day game. Let us open up the first week in September, play your schedule, play your playoffs, and then have your have your champions playoffs, Section 1, Section 2, 3 and 4, and come back. Central and North Jersey, let them play off. Central and South Jersey play, North 1 and 2 play, and then the champions meet in Group 4. And let's do it in all classifications. All right? So if it was up to me, we could play 15 and decide an individual champion, which I think that's what they're going to do in basketball this year. But it'd be a little bit harder to pull off. I think just getting in the groups would be great for football for right now. So I'm all for it. I think we need to get away from the Thanksgiving Day game, start the season. The three best weekends in football are in September, your first 3 weekends in September, and we're practicing. And the kids should be playing because those are ideal conditions. The weather's warm, the fields, most of the time the fields are dry, and you can get good crowds out, and you don't have to worry about the cold weather and things like that. And they're 3 great weekends, and I think it would be good for New Jersey football to go back and be like the rest of the United States.
Okay, all right. You're coming off now the 10-1 season. What can we look forward to over the next couple of years?
I hope 11-0, 11-0. It's just, I don't know. We're not going to stop. I think the kids got a little taste of it. I think our underneath programs is probably going to hype them up a little bit. We've got some good people coming back. We've probably got 4 of the best football players in the country coming back. In our special people. Juan Jones is probably going to be one of the top receivers in the country. Malik Jackson is going to be one of the best, if not the best player in the country. Thomas Orr is going to be one of the best tailbacks or defensive backs in the country. These are premier players. Probably, we'll probably push them for many things, next year. So we've got 3 or 4 people right there that can really pick up the shoes and go and make things happen. We've got a couple linemen. We got Wayne Neal. We got Arnez McCrary. We got people like that coming back. So, hey, you can't, once you get there and once you do it, then that's what I told the kids the other day. Hey, enjoy. We'll have a meeting later on, and we'll sit down and say, all right, juniors, now it's your time. And but you want to let them enjoy this and get away from it. We'll start worrying about it a little bit after Christmas when we come back. We start getting them back in a weight room, pumping iron and stuff. But it's been a great year. It's been a tough year because we've had so many injuries and things like it. But that's all part of the game, and fortunately we were able to survive it.
Okay, so I want to thank you for stopping in here, and again, congratulations. Great season, 10 wins, 1 loss, the Watch-On Conference Championship, and of course the sectional championship.
Wayne, that's the first conference championship that Elizabeth has won. That's our first conference championship, so we're very happy about that. I'm happy for the kids and our coaches because that's something that a hurdle we needed to get over. You know, you think about Elizabeth High School and everything else, and hey, 15 years they've been in the conference. They never won a conference championship, so that was a big, you know, that was a little icing on the cake there, a feather in our cap, whatever you want to say. But I'd just like to thank you and everybody concerned here with TKR, and I'd like to thank all the people in Elizabeth. You know, it's great when you can go away from home and play a championship game and outdraw the home team. Okay. You know, and our crowd was larger than theirs, and our people have been super. You know, we've had a lot of support. Our administration has been great. You know, we've had no problems this year whatsoever, and it's really, it's been a great year. And I'd just like to thank everyone that was behind our program and enjoyed watching our kids play. For supporting them, and I think that they certainly deserved it, and I'm happy for them.
Okay, and it has been a great year, and again, we appreciate all the help that we've gotten from you and the Board of Education here in Elizabeth, and it was great being able to bring the people to the football games. Right. Okay, we're going to come back, thanks to Jerry Moore. I'll come back and wrap this whole thing up after this. And welcome back. Let's take one final look again at the highlights of that Morris Knowles Elizabeth High School game. The Minutemen winning the North Jersey Section 2 Group 4 championship. Scoring got started with Chad Hoover on a 27-yard touchdown pass from Paul Cosentino that puts the Golden Eagles up on top, and the extra point failed. Minutemen came back, however. Robert Zuniga, a 5-yard touchdown pass from Carlos Nazario. That's his third touchdown pass of the season. Minutemen with the extra point lead it by a score of 7-6. Jameel Jackson scores what proved to be the winning score. Jackson on a 4-yard run on this play. Minutemen up on top, and then it's Jamie Johnson who scores, and this is a big play. Goes in from 2 yards out, making the score 13-12, and the Golden Eagles, instead of going for the extra point to tie it, go for 2 points, and the pass into the end zone fails, and the Minutemen defense holds on, and they win it by a score of 13-12. We'd like to thank Jerry Moore and his staff and players for all the help they've given us throughout the season, and all the people who along the way helped us out. And we're going to leave you with this video. Final salute to the Minutemen 1988 football champions. Good night, everybody.